Hey y'all, so just a quick video on the latest to come out of the Mad Science Laboratory. So a long video on this would have been super boring, so I'll try to keep this pretty short. So if you've watched some of my other videos, this is the power supply that came out of that Keurig Drinkworks machine that I took apart. And so this power supply is kind of interesting. So apparently the entire Drinkworks machine ran on 12 volts DC. And so this is a kind of a supplier power supply. It doesn't look like it was made by Drinkworks. It looks like a regular kind of supplier type of part. And I know it's really hard to see everything down in here, but it's outputs 12 volt DC at 12 amps, which is actually quite a bit. So I think that'd be pretty useful. So I usually keep a battery on my workbench for testing circuits and stuff, especially for cars. But 12 amps will give me plenty of power to do that. And this battery is dead anyway. So yeah, so very simple. I found this container is literally, everything else about this is literally stuff that was laying around. So I had this container which fit, and so I end up there's a block of wood underneath. So this power supply is screwed through the standard factory bosses down to this piece of wood, and then underneath is a couple of screws holding the wood into the box. So that's pretty straightforward, holding that in place. I wired in a regular AC outlet on the input side, on the power side, and literally I had that sitting in my parts supplies. And then the output wires are already on these tabs, and so I attached those with screws, and of course they hold plus, minus. And I had some ring to spade posts that you normally see on ignition coils on classic cars. So I had a couple of those laying around. So I thought, perfect, bend them in 90 degrees and I put a screw through them, and I have a spade connector for that. And then I also have a whole bunch of these 12 volt car LEDs. So they're 12 volts, so they have a resistor built inside them. And I bridged that across the two. So now I can plug it in, but I can also switch power on and off. And I know when I have 12 volt supply coming out. So let me go ahead and start turning this on. I can show you. That's taking to warm up. There we go. And I'm just going to get that out of the way. So obviously that's in. So we'll plug that in. So nothing. So flip it on. See the light bulb's on. 12.2 volts. 12.21 if you want to get picky. And really really steady power. So it's a pretty good power supply. And then that's, yeah, I mean, I have 12 volts DC, 12 amps power available for testing whatever I want. And it's funny is the capacitors and stuff in the circuit are pretty big, because it is a pretty big power supply. And of course the voltmeter isn't putting hardly any load on it, neither is the LED. So if I switch it off, it takes a minute for that to discharge. Like, yeah, you can see the LED and the voltmeter now at the same shot. Give it a second. There he goes. So now the voltage started to drop, and now we're down to 4 volts, and it's continuing to drop, and this is starting to fade out. There it goes. So obviously, if there's an actual load on this, this would drop almost immediately. But yeah, there's no load on here. So that was it. So that's just repurposing old junk and turning it into somewhat useful junk. So, you know, you never know what you can do with some of the junk you got laying around. So you know what, just like all my videos, I hope find this either helpful or amusing or whatever. And regardless, I hope you can find some way to get stuff moving on any of your projects. And I hope you have an awesome day. See ya.